The whole world is sick.
Are you worried about America? I am.
Believe the impossible and you can do the incredible.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Catholic Patriot, and I am delighted to have our next guest with us here, all the way from the great state of Missouri. We've got Kathy Gilmore, and Kathy, she's the Director of Event Planning and Communications for the Catholic Marketing Network, and I'm going to let her really set the stage for a very exciting event that's coming up in the summer that I'm very blessed to be a part of. So I want to welcome you, Kathy, to the Catholic Patriot.
Well, I'm happy to be here. This is exciting. And I hope that our conversation will help people find lots of hope about good things happening in the church, you yourself being one of them.
Well, thank you. I mean, you have quite a background, and it's important that I think that our viewers get an idea of that. I mean, you know, I said you're the Director of the Event Planning and Communications for the Catholic Marketing Network. This is a massive undertaking that's been around for 20 years, I believe, right?
Over 20. Yeah.
Right. And on top of that, you've found the time to become an award-winning children's author, and you've created, I guess is it a book or a series? It's called Virtue Heroes, Characters Who Empower Character in Kids. Now, before we jump into anything, tell us about that, because I have 6 children, 5 that are still at home, and this is a major subject that keeps coming up. I'm like, kids, unplug yourself from other things. I want you to really get immersed in this. And now I've just discovered there's an answer to that. So tell us about that.
Well, people can go to virtueheroes.com and see all the little characters. But basically what I wanted to do is give people an alternative to the empty entertainment that they're getting from sources like Disney. And I wanted to take the charm of these little animal and insect characters and make each one an icon of virtue. So each little story is told by one of the characters. They are what I call the sidekick storyteller, and they tell the story of a true virtue hero who is someone who is a holy, notable person from our spiritual history. So, for example, 3 books are out so far. We have Moshe the Mouse telling the story of Mary at the Annunciation, Amel the Camel telling the story of Balthazar, one of the wise men, looking for Jesus after the Nativity. And we have Eli the Caterpillar that tells the heroic kindness of Joseph, St. Joseph, when they're looking for Jesus and they find him in the temple. And so you can see these little characters, each are icons of a virtue. Moshe is humility, Amel the Camel is wisdom, and Eli the Caterpillar is kindness. And they line up also with the mysteries of the Rosary. So it's dear to my heart, and I pray that God will continue to bless this effort as it grows, just baby steps.
Well, that's awesome. Are there any plans to make this into an animation so that kids can watch it?
And there is a conversation, but it's a lot of money to do the animation, and so I've just got to see if God brings the folks together to with the resources to make that happen.
Well, sure. Well, that's great, though. So it's virtueheroes.com. I'll be checking that out right away, because I think that's so important for our families, is to start detaching ourselves from what's going on in the world. I mean, I think it's our responsibility as parents to know what is going on and accurately, but we've got to save our families and our culture, because as we know, they're under attack. Sister Lucia told us back in the 1980s that the final battle between God and Satan is over marriage and the family, and we need these things to keep drawing our kids back to the things that are going to inspire them, because we are going to continue to go through harder and harder times. That's just the path that we're on right now, and we can't be in denial. But things like this is what's going to inspire them, because our children, even at the youngest ages, are called to be heroic saints. So Thank you, Kathy. I'm looking forward to this. Well, let's jump into the Catholic Marketing Network, because you have, for a long time, you've had a trade show, an annual trade show, and I've been aware of that. But because I was not quite into that area of the selling and those things, I never attended it. And now, this year is just something very special. It's very different, and it's the Catholic Marketing Network, or CMN, and it's Momentum 2022. Okay, and this event's taking place July 25th to the 28th in Schaumburg, Illinois, and that is, I believe, northwest of Chicago, a little bit, somewhere over there. Okay,
yeah. We don't say Chicago because we don't want people to get afraid or intimidated by the big city, and so it's a very lovely suburb of Chicago.
Well, wonderful. I'm looking forward to it, because this year I'm very blessed to have been invited to give one of the, basically, I think, the final send-off talk for that. And it's a special place, too, because being involved with the Fulton Sheen Institute and the founder of that, Illinois always keeps coming up as a special place. It's where he was born. It's where he was ordained for the Diocese of Peoria. And when I have spoken in parishes in all the different regions of Illinois, he's very fresh on their minds, and he's still very beloved, and they really want to see his beatification, move forward. So it's a special place for me to come in and to represent, of course, Fulton Sheen, who, as we'll see in just a minute, shares so much of what this conference is about. Give us a little bit of a history, though, of the Catholic Marketing Network, and how it's gotten to this point, because right now it seems like, it is. There's this merging of an active evangelization missionary element to it. So explain that to us.
Absolutely. So over 25 years ago, Alan Napleton, who was a successful businessman doing various kinds of business development himself, created Catholic Marketing Network for the purpose of applying business development in the space of the Catholic evangelization effort. And so that really took the shape of a trade show where everybody who made Catholic stuff and published Catholic stuff would get together with everyone who would distribute and sell Catholic stuff. And that model worked great until the internet. And then when everybody found new ways to evangelize and new ways to distribute the content and the resources and everything that they created, the whole neat and tidy little trade show didn't seem to fit as well. So what CMN has done is we built on the foundation of our trade show, which we still have. That part of our event is still there. Our expo hall for basically Tuesday and Wednesday is really focused on wholesale selling. So if people come and they want to get resources and things for their organization, that's that conversation. But then on Thursday, we open it up and we call it our sample sale, and then our exhibitors will do both. They'll have the wholesale conversations with people, but they'll also be selling samples and various things retail, which we think is great because then it helps them recoup the investment they've made to be at the event. So that's just the baseline. Then now this year, we built on conference partner tracks. Now, in the past, we've had the Catholic Writers Guild as a conference partner for a number of years, and that's been fabulous. So that all these people that feel called to be an author of some kind in the Catholic space, they now have a place to come and meet and find solidarity and learn how to do what they do better. So that's happening, and that's still happening, and people can sign up for it. But then in addition, we have the Law of Life Summit, which has been happening in Washington, D.C. for over 10 years at the Pro-Life March. But now, because this summer, so much that is going to change the shape of the pro-life movement forever is happening, we're going to have the Thomas More Society and the whole Law of Life team put on a conference track all focused on mobilizing and informing and energizing people involved in the pro-life movement. So that's happening. And that's on Wednesday and Thursday. And then finally, where you come in, Peter, is part of our track that is hosted by CEMA, the Coalition of Marian and Eucharistic Apostolates. Because CMN, the whole way we work is we say that we can do our good work for God better when we do it together. And so CMN draws people and organizations together in order to collaborate to do whatever they want to do in a better and bigger way because they're doing it together. So with CEMA, CMN is a proud sponsor of CEMA, this organization, this coalition of Marian, Eucharistic and Marian apostolates that they otherwise would be isolated. They otherwise would be what we call siloed. And they're trying so hard to, maximize their own circle of influence, but it's really hard when you're doing it all independently on your own, as I'm sure you've experienced in your journey. And so CEMA now is having this conference track at CMN, and basically what we're inviting is everybody who's a prayer warrior to come and be energized and united in your effort. Because all of us have some big, powerful prayers that we need to be doing, and we get tired and we feel isolated and we feel discouraged because it seems like the enemy is rampant. And so that's where people can come on Wednesday and Thursday to the Momentum event and experience the hope and the solidarity of the CEMA track that'll have Father Richard Heilman, Father Chris Alar, Bishop Joseph Perry, and yourself. So you are with some august speakers. And we're so happy that basically you're the closing hitter. You're the guy that's going to wrap it up and send them on home to go and make a huge difference for God.
Well, I'm really excited about that. Just the guests that you mentioned, it is going to be a privilege to be with them. And from all of these things that are taking place, there's going to be mass, there's going to be things going on too. So can you explain too, there's a lot, almost different levels or tracks of things. What's the environment spiritually that's going to be going on for those who attend?
And that's what's fabulous is even our trade show attendees, one of the things they value most about CMN is the sacramental emphasis on it. So there's Mass every day. There's Eucharistic adoration available 24/7. And we even have now connections with a team in Chicago bringing people in from the Chicago area to add to the prayer, the power of the prayer happening in our adoration, because we are praying for a profound grace to pour down on the Chicago region that needs it so much. And then we will have Rosary every day. We will have Divine Mercy Chaplet every day. Anybody that wants to come for longer, we even have a mini pilgrimage on Monday afternoon that people can experience as well. So very, very big sacramental emphasis and prayer emphasis on this, because we're all about ora et labora. We're going to get powered up with prayer and then put it to work and make a difference.
Well, that's awesome. So somebody who comes to this and they register for the event, it's basically one registration for the whole thing. It's not as if do I need to register for the CEMA track that you're talking about or the Catholic Writer Guild? Is it like one registration entrance is for all the days and whatever they want to attend to?
Exactly. Okay. And that's fun because then you look at, because CEMA has a event page on their website, Law of Life has an event page on their website, and the Writers Guild has an event page on their website, as well as obviously CMN overall general. But when you come, you can attend any track, anything. So you can mix and match the experiences, which makes it great because you basically, I'm telling people that you buy one conference and you get 3 free.
Right. Well, that's exactly what it sounds like. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so special when I was learning more about it too, because I was only familiar with the trade show part of it, is now you have this conference is like it's a national gathering as of I think the way you described as missionary disciples, and that mutual empowerment I think is critical for these times. A rising tide lifts all ships, and we're living at a time. I mean, St. John Paul he called this time in which we're living the greatest historical confrontation the world has gone through, that humanity has gone through. You can't sugarcoat that, and here we are. And if you follow the signs of the times, one of the big things that we do in the Fulton Sheen Institute is to be a prophetic watchman like Fulton Sheen was, to help sound the alarm, like Ezekiel 33, because lest, we'll be held accountable. And now we have something to do about that at a conference like this. So if you're wondering, gosh, where do I even start? I think this is a great place to start. If you get yourself out there, a little bit of an investment, but we all got to put skin in the game, and then take action.
The registration is only $100 for the whole time. So it's a multi-day registration, and if you look at other conferences, a lot of times it's a lot more than that. So we're hoping that we've kept this into an approachable price point for what the experiences people have. And I can't tell you, some people like coming to our events just because they get this wow when they walk through the expo hall and when they are there, because never are you with so many like-minded, regular, wonderful Catholic people all together. It just doesn't happen. And you end up, that's why I said it's so much hope. You leave with hope because you think, oh, wow, I'm not the only one that cares about this. And the enemy wants us divided and discouraged. And so this is where we come together. And like you say, we're preparing for the battle of our generation, more than that.
Battle of the ages.
Yep.
I mean, even Fulton Sheen called these times in which we're living in, he said it over 80 years ago, so we're living in the apocalypse, the last days of our era. That's this civilization that we are in right now. It's going to come to an end. You cannot deny that. Everything is falling apart, and God is preparing the world through this. It says somehow in his providence, like John Paul II says, is in his providence, that we have to endure this, and we have to be faithful, and we have to persevere through it. And then, of course, Our Lady promises an era of peace at the end. But in order to remake this world, it's going to have to go through what it's going through, and we need to be strong and faithful, and we need to do our part, because this is about saving souls at the end of the day. Fulton Sheen said that. It's like, if souls aren't saved, nothing is saved. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And you made a really good point too, Kathy, about the importance of a live event. This is a huge personal point of mine. Nothing replaces that. I've done virtual things, virtual classes and teaching, but nothing replaces a live experience, a retreat, a pilgrimage, a conference. These are usually very decisive moments in an individual's life when they hear these things, they're around people, and they feel God tugging at them. And then hopefully at least one of the people speaking, I know I will be, you've got to now make a decision on this. And God's pulling on your heart right now. Have the courage and have the faith to step out and do it. And people's lives are massively changed. So I really want to encourage those who are watching this to take that to heart. This might be one of the most accessible events that you can go to. I mean, generally speaking, Chicago's not a very difficult place to travel to. Flights and stuff are going up, so book them now. That's what I'm doing. I'm watching, But this is a great opportunity. So let's just shift gears for a second too, because this is something that we're both bringing to this with this new dimension of partnership with CEMA, the Coalition of Eucharistic and Marian Apostolates. And this special track that's being offered for the first time. Why don't you give us a little bit of context about that, some of the details? I'm going to actually put on the screen the graphic you sent us. I hope I could do that. Is that something we can do public now? Your intercessors assemble. Is that a draft, or can I put that on?
That's my graphic. That's my fun graphic to grab people's attention, so that they realize that
There it is.
God's calling us to be superheroes. And so just like we all get a kick out of the Marvel movies and the Avengers assemble, we are now saying intercessors assemble, come together, prayer warriors, and be the superheroes that God's calling you to be. And how do we be that superhero? By being revived by the Eucharist and united by the Rosary. That is the two pillars of our faith, and truly, it's how we get strengthened to go out and do what God's calling us to do.
Well, that's awesome. I'll leave this on just for a second, because you can also you can screenshot this or whatever, but you can see on the top, of course, it has the Coalition of Eucharistic and Marian Apostolates. It gives you a little bit of details about that. Led by Our Lady, we come to our Lord. Another way of saying to Jesus through Mary. And then you have at the bottom, I love this, prayer warriors come together for this conference track in partnership with CMN Momentum 22. And then go to coalitionofapostolates.com to learn more. And, you're right. Those two things, revived by the Eucharist, united by the Rosary. This takes us back to that famous vision of Don Bosco of the two pillars. And just to summarize that story, he witnesses what basically we're in today, in this allegorical form of this massive flagship in the sea. This big naval battle breaks out. They're trying to destroy it. The big ship is led by a man in white. You can put the pieces together pretty easy. But what saves the ship and all these little tiny ships that were around it trying to survive the battle was the man in white, the Pope, who then anchors chains the flagship to these two columns, the larger one of the Eucharist and the shorter one of Mary. And as soon as he does that, basically everything kind of goes into a final battle. The enemy is defeated, and then a great calm comes. And this is so important because it also anchors us back to why we're doing what we're doing. Why are there trade shows? Why are we producing all of these things? Why are we trying to evangelize like never before? Is because we're in this final battle, and at the end of the day, people need, especially faith, our Catholic brothers and sisters, and even non-Catholics, but we need to be drawn back to the essentials in a very confusing world of what's really going to save our families. And I think it's beautiful how this is lined up. So tell us a little bit more about who's in the track. You mentioned some of the names before, and what to expect from that.
Correct. Then what you'll see, basically we're positioning this track to prepare everyone for the Eucharistic revival. That the USCCB has started on this process. It's going to be a multi-year process, but we want people to get basically a jump start. And so you're going to have Father Richard Heilman, who is leader of the U.S. Grace Force, and he is going to get us started about basically helping us know what the context of the battle we're in, this spiritual battle, and how do we be warriors in that battle. Then we have Bishop Perry, who will really be talking about the importance of the Eucharist and how it revives our spirits, and how we can be part of the Eucharistic revival, how we can help make that happen, both through our prayer and our action and all that. And then we have Father Chris Alar, who's going to come in and really focus on the Marian part of things. He's one of the Marian fathers, and he's going to talk about the power of the Rosary and how the Rosary unites us, and even speaking to the Rosary Confraternity, which is something that many people have forgotten what it is. You think it's your grandma's ladies group. And the Rosary Confraternity is actually how we multiply our prayers exponentially by combining our rosaries with thousands of other rosaries that are being prayed by other people. So he's going to get into that whole idea of how the rosary unites us and how it's really powerful. And then we're bringing you in at the later point. Now we've got social activities, and we've got a beautiful Culture of Life dinner opportunity for people on Wednesday as well. But then on Thursday morning, we have a breakfast with Father Luke Mary, sponsored by the World Apostolate of Fatima, who's going to be talking about Fatima in our time and why does it make a difference, you know? And then we'll have you come in, and as I say, you're a closer, and help people get all ready to go back home and put into practice this whole idea of being revived by the Eucharist and united by the Rosary. And really, we're looking at the example of Fulton Sheen, because if anybody was ever the ultimate missionary disciple who did amazing things for God, he's the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. I'm not biased about that, but yeah, he truly is the icon. And it's interesting because this all coincides with something that I've really felt led by the Holy Spirit to offer as an event that ties right into this. And it's called War and Peace, Fulton Sheen, Fatima, and the Family. And it really is this. It's the Fulton Sheen, and War and Peace is because that's what his name means. Many people don't know that. Fulton Sheen is Gaelic. Fulton equals war. Sheen means peace. So war and peace, basically, how do we understand the war that we're in, and what do we have to do to find an everlasting peace, to use Sheen's words? And then the answer is the blueprint from Fulton Sheen, who draws from the message of Fatima, and the fate of the family is all tied up into whether or not, and to how faithful we are in living that message and presenting it in a way that really only Sheen can, and putting it's one event that puts all the pieces together, and it gets people charged up because they know exactly what to do. They know who the enemy is, and then they have confidence that they can defeat it no matter what happens. So I just find it really providential how these two things coincide like that. And then, of course, to see such, you have found incredible, I don't want to use the word amazing. We always use amazing too much. The incredible speakers there. And I actually noticed, I was looking at one of my notes here, I don't know if he's going to be speaking, but you mentioned, I think, Father Luke Fletcher in one of our meetings. And I haven't seen him since college. He was my classmate at Steubenville. Hey. We just called him Fletch. And I really haven't seen him since probably like 2000. So it will be great to see him again.
Absolutely. And I really hope that, because we're going to be talking about this event on WSFI in Chicago, and I hope that anybody who is in your listener base from the Chicago area thinks about, while you're in town, inviting you to come and do this full Fulton Sheen War and Peace presentation for their parish, because we're going to only have a chance to have you, share a piece of it at Momentum, and they could go and really get a deep dive with an event in a parish. So that's what I'm praying for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm praying for that too. I'm going to be arriving early and staying a little bit later so that, with all the parishes that are there, I mean, come on, there's got to be a few that are really would welcome this. And so, yeah, I extend that invitation out to get in touch with me right away. And importantly too, I just, before you forget and you put this off on the shelf, go right now and go register for this event, make that commitment, and then you'll follow, sort of buy it and you will come. And so just remind us again, Kathy, where do we need to go to get all this information, to register and answer any of the questions that we may have?
Yeah. CatholicMarketing.com, and on our event page is where you find the collection of all the information. So everything that's happening at the event. Then there are links to the CEMA conference, the Law of Life Summit, the Writers Guild event. All those have links from that page. So if you come there, you'll be able to register for the event. You'll use that registration link button, and we also have how you can get a reduced price hotel room in our hotel block while supplies last.
Wonderful. And once again, the dates for the conference are July 25th to the 28th this year. So make that choice now. I believe this is very providential in everything that's going on. It's like a rallying point. That's kind of how I see it too. I'm excited for it for myself because this is what I'm looking for. These are the things I'm always praying are going to happen. And it's been harder and harder because of this reason, that reason, and and we just got to get over that. Yes, it's going to maybe require more effort, and we've got great organizers and people like yourself who make these things happen. Thanks be to God, and God bless you, Kathy, for really. I know a lot of moving parts make this happen, but there is a linchpin in all that, and I'm going to call it out. It's Kathy, and so pray for Kathy. Pray for the Catholic Marketing Network, for the Coalition of Eucharistic and Marian Apostolates, and everyone who's going to be participating in this great event. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you when you're there. So if you see me walking around, grab me, and I'd just love to get to meet you personally. So, Kathy,
that's the other piece that's so beautiful about the CMN events, that it's not like any other conference, that our speakers, like our keynote speaker on Wednesday morning is Deacon Burke Sivers, one of the most dynamic speakers in the church right now. He will be out walking around. He'll be at a booth. He'll be hanging out with people. So when I get my little fangirl on when I'm at the CMN, because it's like, wow, I'm just like hanging out with these people that otherwise I deeply admire. And at a normal event, they come in, they do their talk, and they leave. But at CMN, there's a reason to stay. And then you get this opportunity to rub elbows and just hang out.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for taking the time and really presenting this to my audience. And this is going to be splashed out everywhere I can send it. Don't hesitate, everyone. Seriously, this is something I believe will yield a much greater reward upon a small investment. So more than anything, we're always talking about intentionality. Well, make the decision and have the intention of following through. And I'm excited to see Kathy and as many of you as possible when we join. So, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us, and God bless this event coming up. I pray that the Holy Spirit really uses it as a mini Pentecost for our country, because we need it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Catholic Patriot. We have a true one right there in Kathy Gilmore and all of her efforts with the Catholic Marketing Network. It's just a reminder to all of us that God simply needs our yes. That's all he wants. Our Lady gave one fiat, began the recreation of the world. And all the ramifications upon the new heavens and the new earth, all God, he had that rest on her yes. And so just imagine, Mary's the model of the church. She's the model of all Christians. And so what's the power of our yes to God? Don't waste time. Do it now. Do it in your prayer. When you sign off of this particular episode, say an Our Father very slow and focus on those words. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And it will. You will be that little instrument of God's will being done, and you can rest in the peace, because that's the fulfillment of all prayers. So God bless you all. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of the Catholic Patriot, and I look forward to seeing you in Chicago, July 25th through the 28th. Take care.
Right is right if nobody is right. Wrong is wrong if everybody is wrong. And believe me, in this error-infested world, what we really need is a church and an authority that is right not when the world is right, but one that is right when the world is wrong.
Never in history has the prayer of the Rosary been more needed to save our families, our countries, and defeat the evils of the world than now. The Fulton Sheen Institute worked closely with the Roman Rosary to develop the most unique, beautiful, and meaningful rosary that was inspired by Fulton Sheen's World Mission Rosary. This special handcrafted rosary continues Sheen's passion to support the mission of the Church to evangelize the entire world. Each decade of the rosary has a different color, which corresponds with a different continent. Yellow for Asia, red for the Americas, white for Europe, blue for the nations of Oceania, and green for Africa. Each Fulton Sheen Aroma Rosary comes with a set of 4 pure essential oil blends that have been chosen for their therapeutic and theological significance. These blends correspond to the 4 mysteries of the Rosary. Simply choose the oil for the mystery of the day, drop a small drop in the palm of your hand, and massage the oil over the surface, being sure to catch the lava beads. You're good to go, and your prayer will linger longer with these beautiful aromatic notes. Every Fulton Sheen Aroma Rosary you purchase supports our mission to fight the battle for the hearts and souls of the Christian family and lead our world back to God. So visit the Fulton Sheen Institute's store and pick up your beautiful Fulton Sheen Aroma Rosary today. Get one for you, your family members, and your close friends, and don't forget your pastor. Thank you so much for your prayers and your support.